Hello gamers, how's it going? So today we're doing a video on my boy Yanqing. Holy, I honestly can't even explain just how much I love this character. I also only just got out of the shower, so if my hair looks a little bit weird, that is why I need to get cut. But moving on, we're gonna get straight into this because we don't waste time here on this channel. Straight away, I'm just gonna say he is a character that doesn't require too much to be built, at least semi alright, because he gives himself a lot of crit rate. And he does give himself some crit damage, which obviously for a damage dealer is pretty good. But to go over his basic stuff, first of all, he is part of the hunt. So he is like Dan, he is like Zeala's light cone is actually really good for him. In fact, I think it's like the best in slot from what I've seen, and it looks really good. I mean, it's a good light cone in general. There's also, if we just quickly go over here to the data bank, there's quite a few of the hunt ones. Honestly, a lot of the 4-star ones are good. Like, there's this one which I'm just think is probably less relevant, but gives 12% crit rate. The rest are pretty decent. I wouldn't use 3-star ones because they have lower base stats. You do get this one for free. If you have this, drop it on him. And you pretty much sword for light cones, that's my opinion. What about relics just straight away before I get into how he actually works? In terms of relics, the best thing you can do is go with 2 sets. So obviously you can use, one we get a lot at the start of the game, Musketeer of Wild Wheat. To be fair, pretty good for any damage dealer really. The thing that I think is going to be his future set, that's going to be probably the thing that people are mostly going to use, especially if you go off like Genshin Impact, is anything with an elemental damage bonus, like increase in ice damage, because he is an ice damage character, so this is pretty good for him. I'm not sure if it's better to go for a 4-piece of this and then going with a 2-piece of this and a 2-piece of this, but I think it's probably better to go with a 4-piece of this. That's my opinion. Obviously, around stats, helmet and gloves are always the same. For chest plate, I recommend crit damage because really get so much crit rate, and for the boots, attack percent. Now, for these two, what you really want is ice damage bonus. I don't know if I have that. I've got lion damage boost, but unfortunately not anything ice related, but ice damage boost and attack percent on this one as well. Best thing I can recommend. And I recommend probably using this one as a 2-set on really any damage character. But anyway, moving on to what he actually does. He's a little bit of a complicated character, but very simple. Very simple. His basic attack is basic. Nothing more I have to say about it. His E skill is probably more of an interesting one. It kind of activates his whole kit. You want to make sure, if anything you ever do, make sure to use his second skill all the time. If you can try and do it, always make sure to do it, because this is where he activates Soul Steel Sync. Now, Soul Steel Sync is basically his talent, and it allows him to do a lot more. I personally actually really like it. We're actually getting into it then. So, first of all, we'll talk about the talent actually. I think it'd be probably better to get this out of the way. When Soul Steel Sync is active, Yanqing is less likely to be attacked by enemies. Pretty decent. There's a reason why this is actually helpful, and I'll get to it lower in a moment. Now, Yanqing's crit rate increases by 16.5%, and his crit damage increases by 19%. Pretty decent already, like that's pretty nice. I mean, basically means when you use your E skill, you will always have this. Now, there is a condition, but we'll get into that later, but it makes him a little bit easier to build in general. That's what I really like about it, like an early game damage dealer. Will he be good later on? I don't know, he's just a single target damage dealer that doesn't really provide anything super special, but carrying on. After Yanqing attacks an enemy, there is a 53% fixed chance to perform a follow-up attack. Now, basically how this works is every time he attacks, after he uses his E skill, as long as Soul Steel Sync is up, he will be able to do a follow-up attack with a 53% chance. Pretty simple. Basically what he does is he shoots an icicle down after he attacks, and that counts up as a follow-up attack. That is pretty good in the simulated universe. You might have seen many times. It just says, follow-up attack will restore HP, yada yada. There's a lot of follow-up attack upgrades on through the blessings through that, so pretty helpful sometimes, to be honest. And another great thing about this is, since he's an ice damage dealer, this actually will offer him more chances to freeze the enemy. And actually moving on to that, This actually has a 65% base chance to freeze the enemy for 1 turn. So if you have anything in like the universe or even really anywhere, this is going to be pretty helpful for freezing enemies. I mentioned simulated universe because a lot of the time you will, well, a lot of the time, I find it very helpful to be able to freeze enemies with the blessings and then doing just loads and loads of damage that way. I think going down the remembrance path, I think that's what it is very helpful for Yanqing. But that's my opinion. In general, freezing enemies, I think actually is very, very helpful. And I think it kind of makes him stand out in some way over, like, for example, Dan. Now, Dan is a very good unit. People compare him to Dan, but that's my opinion. I like the freeze. So, anyway, how this basically works is the frozen target cannot take action, obviously, and receives additional ice damage at the beginning of each turn. So, pretty nice. Well, this is where it kind of becomes, where it comes all together and can make him worse. So, when Yanqing receives damage, the Soul Steel Sink will disappear. So, for this, what we're going to actually do is we're going to go straight into battle because I feel like it would be better if we just show this off now. I'm going to take out Clara here. Actually, what do I want to do? I'm going to take out actually all of them apart from Natasha just so we actually have healing. Let's go with this then. So, basically how this works is once he uses his E ability, as you can see at the bottom left here, he has this little logo. Now, once he uses it, and he activates Soul Steel, which we just do now, you will see this will start to glow and it will just be a circle that goes around. That means it is active, so he can do an additional turn or a follow-up attack with a chance of freezing, and also he gets the increased crit rate and crit damage, which is nice. That is actually something we can look at. So I go on him. Yeah, so here you go. Increased crit rate and increased crit damage. Now, what you want to do, ideally, is if you have your ultimate, you always want to make sure this is up. Now, what you just see is we just got hit, so it deactivates. And this is kind of the problem with him. If you don't want this to disappear, because you always want this up, if you don't want this to disappear, you can put someone in like March or anyone really with a shield, to be honest, because shields actually do stop him from losing it. But a lot of the characters who actually give shields, unfortunately, are also ice. So this is kind of the problem with actual team building with him. But later on, when there's more shield to use, I feel like it'll be pretty helpful because if he can not lose it, he will literally just have a damage bonus and also be able to follow up attack. But we'll just get rid of him here if we can. There we go, very nice. So yeah, you always want to make sure you pretty much just got that up. You will literally know just by the little circle. Now, moving on to his ultimate, this is pretty much just all single target. Increases his crit rate by 60%. Pretty good. Basically means you don't have to put as much crit rate on him. That's my opinion. And when Soul Steel Sink is active, increases Yanqing's damage by extra 36%. Pretty decent. How this works is he will actually give you the 36% crit damage. It says it lasts for 1 turn, but what that means is you can use your ultimate. Just before you use it, it will give the crit damage. You can use your ultimate, and you can still have the crit damage buff for the next attack. So for the maybe the next E attack that you do, next second skill. So that's how that works. I was actually kind of confused originally with how it worked, but that is how that works, and it's just a single target ultimate. So in general, pretty good character in my opinion. I actually really like him. I think the fact he's ice actually can help a lot. Now, in terms of, for example, traces, I've not actually had like a proper good look at this. I've actually upgraded this one because in general, it's just more damage. That's what you want from damage dealers. If we look at this one as well, this is pretty decent. I mean, when the critical hit is triggered, increase for 2. It's helpful. Gotta make sure, by the way, do not use all of these though, because some of these materials are kind of difficult to get, and especially these ones. But if we talk about this, this is like what, every 3 times a week you can farm them. You gotta make sure you get as far as possible level wise before you farm it. So really, really good idea to do on a Sunday. And if we actually just look at this, this is a bit of a weird one. I don't really know why he gets this. Maybe I'm missing something, but he gets F-Res when he actually activates his Soul Steel Sync. So every time he uses his, he gets 20% F-res. I don't really know what like the bonus is with him because he is a damage dealer, so it's weird to give him F-res, but maybe there's something I'm missing. But hopefully that has kind of given you an example of what he does, what you should put on him. If there's anything else you want to ask, do leave a comment down below. Go on my Discord. I will answer any question pretty much almost straight away. But yeah, anyway, thank you for watching. Before I leave, actually, I have an Eidolon on him. Yeah, we don't talk about that. Anyway, thank you for watching. See you next one, and goodbye.